A hidden feature has been discovered on Google Maps inside of Yellowstone National Park, and we don't know what it is. In this video, we're going to talk about Yellowstone's mysterious map. Now, Yellowstone National Park is one of the most popular parks in America. It's home to some incredible wildlife, including bison, bears, and wolves. But it's also home to something else, something that may be hiding in plain sight. Now, you might not notice it at first, but if you look closely, you can see it. There's something strange going on here. This doesn't look right. These aren't bison, these aren't trees. What are all of these little dots? This anomaly was only recently discovered by someone who was scouring through satellite images of Yellowstone. They noticed these strange little dots. And at first, they assumed it was some kind of glitch. But as they looked closer, they realized it was something else entirely. Now, we're going to take a closer look at this mysterious map and try to figure out what's going on here. First off, let's take a closer look at the area we're talking about. This is located in the northern part of Yellowstone National Park. The coordinates are between 45.3 degrees north and 110.3 degrees west. So, if you want to go check it out for yourself, there you go. You've got the coordinates. But before we get into that, let's talk about how this discovery was made. It was made by someone who runs a website called Above Top Secret. He uses publicly available satellite imagery from Google Earth to scour the Earth for strange anomalies. He said that he was looking through the satellite imagery when he noticed these strange patterns in Yellowstone. At first he thought it was some kind of glitch, but then he started to notice that the patterns were too regular to be a mistake. Now, let's take a closer look at the map itself. What exactly are we looking at here? The first thing that stands out is the fact that there are so many of these little dots. It looks like a bunch of little black holes have been punched into the image. But if you look closely, you can see that each one of these dots has a little crosshair in the middle. This tells us that each one of these dots is actually a grave marker. That's right. All of these dots are graves. Now, if you're wondering why there are so many graves in one place, let me tell you a little bit about the history of this area. This area is called the Native American Indian Reservation. It's located on the Blackfeet Indian Reservation, which is home to 3 different tribes, the Blackfeet, the Assiniboine, and the Dakota. For centuries, these tribes have lived on this land and buried their dead here. But the U.S. government wanted to take this land from them. So they did what any good guy would do. They sent in the cavalry. The U.S. Army fought against the Native Americans and forced them to move to reservations. Many Native Americans died on the reservations, and some of them were buried here. But wait a minute, this isn't the 1800s. Why are people still being buried here? Well, it turns out that people from these tribes still live on this reservation today, and they're still burying their dead here. But that doesn't explain why there are so many graves in this one area. To find out why, we need to take a closer look at the map. If we zoom in close enough, we can start to see the layout of the cemetery. We can see that there are rows upon rows of graves stretching as far as the eye can see. There must be thousands of graves here. Now we're going to zoom out again and take a look at the entire cemetery. Now this is a lot to take in. All of these graves stretch across a very large area. They form a rough rectangle shape, and in the center of the rectangle there seems to be a road. This road cuts across the cemetery and divides it into 2 separate sections. There are also some other features that stand out to us. On the left side of the map, there appears to be a building of some kind. It could be a house or a shed. And on the right side of the map, there seems to be a small body of water. This could be a river or a stream. Now we're going to zoom in on that building and see if we can figure out what it is. When we zoom in, we can see that it's just a small shack. There's nothing really interesting about it. But when we look around it, we notice that there are a lot of graves surrounding the shack. It almost looks like people were buried all around it. Now let's take a look at that body of water. When we zoom in, we can see that it's just a small stream. It doesn't seem to have any special significance, but we do notice that there are a lot of graves near the stream. It almost looks like the stream was used as a boundary to separate the cemetery into 2 different sections. Now we're going to take a look at the entire cemetery again and try to piece everything together. We think that this area was used as a burial ground for centuries by the Native Americans who lived on this land. But when the U.S. government came in and took their land, they also took this burial ground. They built a road right through the middle of it and used it as a dumping ground for all of the bodies they found in the area. That's why there are so many graves here. It was just an easy place for the government to dump all of the bodies they found. Of course, this is just our theory. We don't know for sure what happened here, but it makes sense given the history of the area. So why is this important? Why should you care about a bunch of old graves? Well, it's important because it's a reminder of the history of this area and the people who lived here before us. It's also a reminder of the dark side of American history, the genocide of Native Americans. When the U.S. government came to this area, they didn't just take the land from the Native Americans, they also killed a lot of them. They buried those bodies here, and now they're trying to hide them from us. But we will never forget the people who were buried here. Their story needs to be told, so that we can learn from it and make sure it never happens again. Now, some people might say that this is just a bunch of old news, that everyone already knows about this history, but I don't think that's true. I think a lot of people, especially younger people, have no idea about this history. They don't know about the genocide of Native Americans or the role that the U.S. government played in it. I think it's time that we learn about this history so that we can finally put it to rest. Now, this discovery was made by someone who's just an average guy. He's not a historian or an expert on Native Americans. He's just a guy who was curious about the world. This discovery goes to show that there are still mysteries all around us. All we have to do is open our eyes and look for them. If you liked this video, be sure to check out my others. We explore all kinds of strange and mysterious things on this channel, so there's always something new to learn. Thanks for watching. See you next time.